Welcome to Truth Pursit Episode 2, Secrets of the Lightning Thief, Part 3. This is Part 3, so make sure you check out the other parts, link in the description. I'm just going to go straight into it, so let's go. So now, we're up to page 206 and 207, and we get to a really cool part, and Percy Jackson, what happens is Annabeth wanted to go to the Great Archway in St. Louis, so they go there. And they meet this weird old lady with a chihuahua on the elevator. So when they get there, it's about to close. So Percy stays on. Well, Annabeth and Grover go back down, and Percy waits for the next elevator to come. And that's when Percy confronts the old lady and the chihuahua. So let's read this. Now, the only people left on the observation deck were me, a little boy with his parents, the park ranger, and the fat lady with her chihuahua. I smiled uneasily at the fat lady. She smiled back. Her forked tongue flickered between her teeth. Wait a minute, a forked tongue? And then, just before I could decide if I've really seen that, her chihuahua jumped down and started yapping at me. So, let's quickly see which annotation is it. So let's read this. Reptilian humanoids. It's a really big topic. I'm just going to skim on it, but a lot of people think a lot of our celebrities are just reptilian humanoids in disguise, and this might be an example of that in Percy Jackson. So reptilians are master shapeshifters like Satan, and comes from the other districts. What are the other districts? Well, this is pretty far out. If you believe in flat earth, it would make sense. Now, this is pretty crazy stuff. So if you got a flat earth map, and you got just a ring of ice around our continents, but there are theories of people of these other dimensions are not actually other dimensions, but other continents which has been blocked off by a magical barrier made of ice. So these other continents just surround us like a giant ring, and it's another level upwards. So each district going up and outwards is like a stadium or an amphitheater going up each level. So apparently these reptilians are from these other so-called dimensions or other districts, and that's where they originate from. That's one theory. Or one of the other theories, they're genetically modified in these labs underground secretly, like in the days of Noah. They are reptilian hybrids that are of Satan, and they have superpowers. They can read minds, they can turn to beasts, and they have super strength and all that. So this is probably one of them. So now I'm just going to read on from where I left off. Now, Sonny, said the lady, does this look like a good time? We have all these nice people here. Doggy, said the little boy. Look, a doggy. His parents pulled him back. The chihuahua blared his teeth at me, foam dripping from its black lips. Well, son, the fat lady sighed, if you insist. Ice started forming in my stomach. Did you just call that chihuahua your son? Chimera, dear, the fat lady corrected. Not a chihuahua. It's an easy mistake to make. Ooh. So, I think this might be, yeah. The chimera is the chihuahua in disguise, just like the lady is a reptilian monster in disguise. So the Illuminati use rearranging of letters and taking out a few letters that look similar in names, like codes. A regular person will not see it, but the elite will. So it's almost if it's a double meaning. So do you know how they always put up flash symbols like the triangle? People just shrug it off like it's nothing, but it's just they're coding each other. They're talking in sign language, and those symbols have double meanings, and the masses won't be able to tell because they don't have the enlightened knowledge to know. So this is why it's important to have the knowledge of a serpent, but the innocence of a dove. So if you just have the knowledge of the serpent, that means you're one of the elite. But you need to have the knowledge and the innocence of a dove, so you may remain on the good side. So that's what it is. The rearranging of letters chimera and chihuahua sound a little bit similar, don't they? Well, that's probably another example of the coding the Illuminati uses every day. So I'm on one more here. I'm just going to read on from where I left off again. She rolled up her denim sleeves, revealing that the skin of her arms were scaly and green. So this woman is being bold and revealing her true identity. She's shape-shifting. There's a lot of videos out there of reptilians shape-shifting slightly in real-time video and nearly got exposed. So you can see these videos are really interesting. And when these things shapeshift, they can grow to massive size. And this transformation is ugly, especially this monster. This is one of the big monsters, these reptilians. When she smiled, I saw that her teeth were fangs. The pupils of her eyes were sideways slits, like a reptile's. The chihuahua barked louder, and with each bark it grew, first to the size of a Doberman, then to a lion. The bark became a roar. The little boy screamed. His parents pulled him back towards the exit, straight into the park ranger, who stood paralyzed, gaping at the monster. Now this is the chimera, was now so tall its back rubbed against the roof. It had a head of a lion with a black crane mane, the body and hooves of a giant goat, and a serpent for a tail, a 3-meter-long diamond back glowing right out of its shaggy hide. The rhinestone dog collar still hung around its neck. So this is the chimera and has all its monstrous glory. This is something that was made in the days of Noah, of course. People made things like these completely evil, filled with demonic spirits. They were evil continually, they were never good. That's why God wiped them out. Because He loves us. He doesn't want this to be in our day, but it's prophecy and these things will come back. So a person that hasn't been conditioned or mind controlled fully like the New World Order wants, they can discern spirits better and see angels and demons. So this little kid can see the chimera because he is innocent and he probably hasn't been conditioned as much, so he gets the discernment, whereas his parents and the park ranger probably saw something completely different because how to use magic and the mist and all that. And also the spiritual realm, they are spiritually blinded. They're spiritually blinded and they can't see because all this conditioning and the dumbing down of society and making us believe that we live in a boring world with no spiritual fantasy and all that. So that's how it all comes into play. So that's spiritual blindness. Alright, so let's go on to the next page, page 208. Now let's read from the top of the page. I realized I haven't even uncapped my sword. My hands were numb. I was 3 meters away from the chimera's bloody maw, and I knew that as soon as I moved, the creature would lunge. The snake lady made a hissing noise that might have been laughter.
Be honored, Percy Jackson. Lord Zeus really allows me to test a hero with one of my brood, for I am the mother of monsters, the terrible Echidna.
That's a nice interpretation there. So, voice acting, I've always been good at that. So, yeah, felt like giving it a try. So, who is Echidna? Echidna is the mother of monsters. She is the wife of Typhon, the king of monsters. These were the leading beasts that probably caused the most damage in the days of Noah. These were Nephilim, 100%, or probably 200% Nephilim, completely demonic, evil, and of Satan. These things will kill and will destroy anything. This is pure evil, these monsters. And Percy Jackson, you've just come across one of them. So yeah, Echidna in Greek mythology apparently gave birth to all the monsters and demons of the world. I probably don't believe in that, but Echidna, no doubt about that, one of the generation 1 Nephilim, or one of the first hybridization monsters that probably caused the most havoc, because this was the queen of monsters. This thing was significant during the days of Noah. looks so ugly. So yeah, Percy Jackson tries to. So she talks to him, and the monster, the Chimera, then attacks Percy. So most of the vile demon Nephilim reptilian creatures of Satan could be one of Adam, because there's this story about Adam and his original wife, and there's this creature, this demonic being that apparently fell with Satan, probably pre-Adamite era, and this could be related to Echidna. Now, let me quickly search her up. This is probably the whole reason why Adam probably sinned, or one of the reasons why it happened. So, Lilith, whatever, I put the name up here, Lilith, she is a figure that apparently is a dangerous demon of the night, and she can sexually subdues men. So she is a really evil creature of Satan, and this is apparently during the time of Adam. She probably fell with Satan as Satan's wife or something. I'm not sure, not 100% sure. This is probably one of the first demons to ever exist, and Echidna, I don't know, there could be a connection between Echidna and Lilith. I'm not sure, but these are definitely demonic beings. No doubt about that. It's like, no one can convince me otherwise. This is demonic, and it's more than 100% true. So now let's go to the next page, 210. Now the battle begins. I'm going to read from around the center of the page here. Yeah, right, I thought. I read somewhere that jumping into water from a couple of stories up was like jumping into solid tar. From here, I'll splatter on impact. The Chimera's mouth glowed red, heating up for another big blast. So it just blew fire, and it cut a massive hole in the arch, and Percy Jackson just got bitten by the snake tail, and he doesn't know what to do. He's completely useless, and he's thinking of jumping out of the arch. So this is suicide, you would think.
You have no faith,
Echidna told me.
You do not trust the gods.
You cannot blame you.
You little coward. May you die now. The gods are faithless. The poison's in your heart.
She was right. I was dying. I could feel my breath slowing down now. Nobody could save me, not even the gods. Only Yeshua can save you, Percy. So when you give up hope, you should have prayed to Yeshua, and you could have gone out the easy way. But no, you decided to do a suicide jump and jump out of the really big tower. So, right, yeah, that's why the true Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh is the true God. She fears him. Of course, Echidna would fear him because it's the creator. The poison of sin, being genetically corrupt and lost. The poison will fade when Percy meets the truth, that is Jesus Christ. So, this poison could be a metaphor, not just physical. This poison that the snake gave Percy could be the genetic poison, the unnatural poison of the Satan's plan to corrupt God's image. This poison could represent that. And when she said, the gods are faithless, the poison's in your heart. The poison will fade only when Percy meets Jesus Christ, if he does. I really hope he does. So now let's go to when he jumps out. I remember the swirling green trident that had appeared above my head the night of Capture the Flag, and Poseidon had claimed me as his son. But this wasn't the sea, this was the Mississippi, dead center of the USA. There was no sea god here.
Die, faithless one,
Echidna rasped, and the Chimera sent a column of flame towards my face. Father, help me, I prayed. I turned and jumped, my clothes on fire, poison coursing through my veins, and I plummeted towards the river. Listen to this when Percy says, "Father, help me." That sounds like when Jesus was being crucified, he said, "Father, help me, why have you forsaken me?" That sounds interesting how it sounds similar. But we know he was talking about Poseidon, right? Yeah. But he said father as if, I don't know why. Why can you just say dad or Poseidon or something? You just said father, I don't know. Which father? I mean, your head father is the true father of Percy Jackson. I mean, everyone's true father is Percy Jackson, not the biological father is Poseidon for Percy, but the true father is God. And only he has the power to perform miracles. And a miracle does happen because he fell into the water, and he thought he would die. It was he was screaming. It was a really big fall. So I stood thigh deep in the mud. He's in the water now. My legs felt shaky. My hands trembled. I should have been dead, but the fact that I wasn't seemed like, well, a miracle. I imagined a woman's voice, a voice that sounded a bit like my mother. Percy, what do you say? So yeah, that's so interesting. Percy survived, and it's like a miracle. So it's almost as if it's speaking about the real father, which is Yahweh. Mm. And the poison does represent the genetic corruption that's gone through all these demigods. So that's a good. I mean, if you have the sight to see this stuff, it is interesting how it works. So yeah. So let's go to the next page, page 214. Alright, so now this is a scene when Percy meets a sea spirit. Alright. I heard that woman's voice again. Percy, take the sword. Your father believes in you. This time I knew the voice wasn't in my head. I wasn't imagining it. Her words seemed to come from everywhere, rippling through the water like dolphin sonar. Where are you? I called aloud. Then through the gloom I saw her, a woman with the colour of the water, a ghost in the current floating just above the sword. She had long billowing hair and her eyes barely visible and were green like mine. And he thought it was his mum. So let's read it here. Why is there a spirit in the water? It's like a familiar spirit. This is not good. Satan appears as an angel of light. So this is obviously a spirit that looks really friendly. And it's a female, so this is obviously really suspicious. This is Satan I'm figuring here. And so will his servants. This is a servant of Satan here, appearing as angel of light. Satan appeared, this is a theory here, a really interesting theory. I won't go time to go into it, but Satan appeared as a female to the Watchers, the angels that fell with Lucifer. And the female spirits are not of God. So female spirits, like you just covered, Lifthri and Echidna and Jezebel and Semiramis, their spirits are not of God because they're female. And only Satan, and then the female spirits are not of God and only of Satan, because God is a masculine figure. Yeah, so that's the truth there. Now let's keep on reading here. A lump formed in my throat, and I said, "Mum?" "No, child, only a messenger. Though your mother's fate is not as hopeless as you believe, go to the beach at Santa Monica." Now, I just want to point this out about the name Santa. It's funny how a servant of Satan wants the young lost Nephilim to go to Santa, which is just change the letters around slightly, and he gets Satan Monica. And at that place is where Ares is. Nimrod is another form of Ares. Waiting at Satan Monica is waiting for him. And this appears again on page 271. See the connection there? It's an interesting connection. Why did a female spirit of Satan, of an angel of light, appear to Percy Jackson? Remember, all the demons come from the ocean. The Antichrist arrives from the sea. So that's why it's interesting. So all right, next page is 225, and they are now at Denver, and they're gonna meet Ares, the god of war. All right, let's read it from the top. The guy on the bike would have made pro wrestlers run for mama. He was dressed in a red muscle shirt and a knife and a black jeans and black leather duster with a hunting knife strapped to his thigh. He wore red wraparound shades and he had the cruelest, most brutal face I've ever seen. Handsome, I guess, but wicked, with only an oily black Q-cut and cheeks that were scarred from many, many fights. The weird thing was, I felt like I'd seen his face somewhere before. So this is a description of Ares. So now Ares is the warfare side of Nimrod in Greece. Ares, apparently, appears at the front of the Capitol building in DC. Look at that. Remember earlier on, and probably in part 1, I probably said, the Greek gods are everywhere. I mean, there's statues of Greek gods in America, so you can see Ares in front next to Demetra. Here's the picture here. But here's an interesting fact. America has always been at war ever since it was founded. Like, I mean, I've got a list here for Rob Skiba. This is a list of how many times America has been at war. So Ares probably has a good time in America because America's always fighting. Why is America always fighting? Well, probably most of them are probably caused by them and just used for Operation Depopulation or to bring fear into the citizens. So yeah, that's interesting. So Nimrod is Ares in some form. So our next page is 227. Now listen to what Ares says, because this is important and it reveals a lot of truth. And it's really suspicious indeed. You can't do that, I told Ares. You can't just threaten people with a knife. Ares laughed. Are you kidding? I love this country. Best place in Sparta. Don't carry a weapon, punk. Don't you carry one too? You should. Dangerous world out there. Which brings me to my proposition. I need you to do me a favor. Listen to that. I love this country, the best place in Sparta, of course. And carrying weapons. Ooh, there's some recent events Ares is speaking of here. So America is the new Babylon, the daughter of Babylon. Pagan gods are worshipped in America. I've gone over that millions of times. It is a horrid place to live in, America. And that's how the Antichrist and the demons like Ares and Nimrod like it. And the gun grab situation psyop. It's a psyop, definitely. And what God says about self-defense is we are meant to have weapons when we are threatened by an enemy. So when these fake terrorist attacks happen, they stage it all. And this is how they do it. They do fake terrorist attacks and say, oh, this guy shot up 50 people. We should probably get rid of the guns. So they just take guns off everyone to make them more vulnerable. And all of a sudden, the terrorists and the criminals are just gonna these new gun laws. They're just gonna completely break them because they're criminals. They're just gonna grab guns illegally and shoot more people, and then they're gonna say, "Oh, another event. Okay, now we have to get even more guns off more people, and then just get even more people more vulnerable." This is what Ares loves. The gun grab. He loves all these gun grab stuff, and he even says it here. You should carry a weapon. It's a dangerous world out there. Yeah, God tells us that too. We need to arm ourselves. There's events in the Bible when I think some of the disciples carried swords with them when they went on missionaries. Because people always, back then, they hated Jesus. They rejected them. They rejected him as the Messiah. So, yeah. Aries, you are so true. That is the truth. America is chaos. They're taking away our privileges of self-defense, even when America has a right. It says we have the right to bear arms. Well, now we're just completely contradicting that and saying that we don't have the right anymore, because now you have to give your guns away and let it all open for terrorists and all these criminals to break the rules and instill guns on their own free will and kill even more people. This is what they want. This is all the Operation Depopulation gun grab. Ares loves this stuff. See this psyop? This psyop is a distraction, and this is how the elite use it. It's all staged. It's just order out of chaos. They create the chaos and then they create the order. They do it all over again. Everything is a hoax, pretty much. So that's why the news is pretty deceptive. Alright, let's go to page 230 and we'll go on to something interesting. Alright, let's read this page here. Okay. Percy, Anna buffooned, be more respectful. Why? I thought you hated Ares. He's still a god, and his girlfriend is very temperamental. You don't want to insult her looks, Grover added. Who is she, Echidna? No, Aphrodite, Grover said a little dreamily. Goddess of love. I thought she was married to somebody, like Hephaestus. What's your point? He asked. Oh, and I suddenly felt the need to change the subject. So, Aphrodite? Who is Aphrodite? Now, it won't be a surprise if you're awake to the truth and if you've seen this video. Semiramis, his Greek name is Aphrodite, and if you look, I think it might be in part 2 in the video later on, earlier on in the video, I explain how Aphrodite Semiramis was born in the water, similar to Aphrodite in Greek mythology, because when Kronos cuts his father into millions of pieces with his scythe, he chucked all the little pieces into the ocean, which became sea froth, and that sea froth became Aphrodite. So similar, it all happened in the water. Semiramis and Aphrodite were born in the water. If Ares is Nimrod and Ares' partner is Aphrodite, then we have the Greek interpretation of the original, or the second original, because the original was Rhea and Kronos. So after the flood, original, perverted, these people didn't love each other. It was all about sex and power. It wasn't about love, this relationship of Nimrod and Semiramis. And it was the perverted couple in Babylon. So Hephaestus, who is also Nimrod, now there's this Call For An Uprising, who is another really good truther. You should check out his channel, link in description. There is a Vulcan sign, which a lot of people use, like for Star Trek uses it. It's a satanic gesture. I might show you a clip here of why Hephaestus might be Nimrod. And fire, of course, when we went on with Perseus, fire is one of Nimrod's symbols because it's related to sun worship, which is satanic. So yeah, that's that. So I think I might show you a little piece of this video from Call For An Uprising. I'll show you that. But anyways, the next thing is on page 232.
This is a Call For An Uprising. We welcome you to today's show and ask those of you who have not subscribed to please subscribe to our YouTube channel as we continue to expose the Satanic Illuminati agenda and the ushering in of the Antichrist. Today's show, I want to expose another symbol. It's a symbol you'll see very often. It's a symbol that obviously, as most of these do, has dual meanings. That is the Vulcan salute. This salute is best known for the salute that is done by the character Spock on the movie or the TV series Star Trek. Okay, you can see the hand with the V in the middle. It almost looks, in a sense, like a different way of doing the peace sign. Okay, I want to talk about what it means so that you can be aware of what these symbols mean, because it's important to know. The Vulcan, I should say, was a sun deity who was associated with fire, thunderbolts, and light. Obviously, we know what thunderbolts and lightning stand for in Satanism. The thunderbolt or the lightning bolt is associated with Satan. In Luke 10:18, it states, "And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven." That Satan's fall from heaven, he resembled lightning falling from the sky. So Vulcan is also a sun deity. They had a festival to honor him, which was called Vulcania, in which human sacrifices were offered. What a surprise. More human sacrifice related to Freemasonry, to Satanism and the occult. Vulcan also married Venus. Venus is another name for the devil, for Lucifer. You'll also find Vulcan adored, honored, respected in Freemasonry under the name of Tubal Cain. There's reference to him in the Masonic quiz book. It says, who is Tubal Cain? He is the Vulcan of the pagans. So in Masonry, the name Tubal Cain is the password for the Master Mason or the third degree Freemason. A quote from Manly P. Hall in his book, "When the Mason learns that the key to the warrior on the block is the proper application of the dynamo of living power, he has learned the mystery of his craft. The seething energies of Lucifer are in the hands, and before he may step onward and upward, he must prove his ability to properly apply energy. He must follow in the footsteps of the forefather Tubal Cain, who with the mighty strength of the war god hammered his sword into a plowshare." This symbol is also used by rabbis in the Hebrew tradition. The hand split down the center represents the fingers on each side of the V in devil, as the initials DE and IL represent the fingers. The initial V is the 22nd letter in the alphabet, which is a sacred number in Hebrew numerology. It also corresponds in the Tarot pack, which you'll see the card here, which has the devil on it, making this sign with his hands. You'll see musicians do it, okay? And that's the thing. Our brains perceive this a different way. So if you see musicians doing this or actors doing this, your first thought is, oh, they must be a Star Trek fan, or it must be some kind of, Star Trek thing. Because we've all been conditioned that that is the Vulcan hand sign from Star Trek. I've never even watched the show, and I know that that's what the symbol means, at least in our culture, that's what it stands for. But you have to think deeper than that. Why was Winston Churchill making this hand symbol? Winston Churchill, who we know is a Freemason, a 33rd degree Freemason. Why do you see other celebrities doing it? Why do you see them covering their chest holding the V, randomly doing it? Why do you see musicians holding it up? Why do you see Barack Obama doing it with his hand, waving, making the Vulcan V? He's not at a Star Trek movie premiere. He's at the White House doing it.
Alright, so I hope you learned something there. So Vulcan is the Roman name for Hephaestus. Percy Jackson fans should know this. And alright, let's go to the next page. On page 232. Now, they go into this water park to look for Ares' shield, because that's what Ares wanted them to look for. They want to do a favor. This is why I hate pagan gods. They're always so lazy and want us to do everything for them. I mean, Jesus did everything for us. That's why that's how much he loves us. But these pagan gods hate us. They just want us to do this and that, and they don't repay us. And in the end, they're going to kill us to get us in hell. So that's why I hate those pagan gods. They're annoying. So they're in this water park. Apparently this is where the shield is, because Aphrodite and Ares went on a date, and Ares left his shield on the water ride, obviously meant for a trap, because why would he do that? Wouldn't he just pick it up? It's a huge shield. It's a trap, obviously. They walk in, and then Hephaestus has something ready for them. Hephaestus being Vulcan, the sign that he uses, which is a satanic symbol used by Freemasons. So let's read this part. She stopped, looking straight ahead. Like that! In front of us was an empty pool that would have been awesome for skateboarding. It was at least 15 meters across and shaped like a bowl. Around the rim, a dozen statues of Cupid, key word, stood guarded with wings spread and bows ready to fire. On the opposite side of us, a tunnel opened up, probably where the water flowed into when the pool was full. The sign above it read, "Thrill Ride of Love. This is not your parents' tunnel of love." So, the Cupid, that's, again, no surprise whatsoever. Cupid is another name for Nimrod. No one should be surprised anymore. Pretty much every pagan god, nearly all of them, either go back to Nimrod or a representation of Nimrod. So Cupid goes back to Nimrod. He is the god of love, like Venus and Aphrodite, which Venus is the Roman name for Aphrodite. Venus means Lucifer, the morning star. But Cupid was also known as Zoroaster. Zoroaster is an Assyrian or Sumerian name for one of the gods, and that name Zoroaster means Ashtaroth, and Ashtaroth is another name for Semiramis. That's where the word Easter comes from, Ashtaroth. It's just the English version of it. And the seed of Ashtaroth is the seed, which means her offspring, which is Tammuz, the Antichrist, the false Jesus. That's the seed, the virgin birth. That's where all that Virgin Mary stuff comes from. It came 2,000 years before Jesus even was born. Satan always likes to do things first so he can trick people into believing that he's the original one and then God just copied. But really it's Satan that copied, because Satan knows prophecy too, and he's doing it all early just to make his plan work. That's why he's winning, because he's so deceptive. Yeah, so alright, so that's that part. Next page is a little bit further back. I'm just going to look. I think I might be on 249. Alright, let's move on to that page. Alright, let's read 249. She kicked me in the shin. Yeah, I said. I wouldn't have done it even without the kick. It's not luck that found Talia and me, Grover. You got the biggest heart of any satyr ever. You're a natural searcher. That's why you'll be the one to find Pan. So right now, they gave the shield back to Ares, and then they went onto this zoo truck that treats animals like crap. So they went behind it secretly, and now they're going towards Los Angeles, also known as Fallen Angels, or the Last Lost Angels, which is where Hades is where the underworld is. They have to try and go there because they reckon Hades has the lightning bolt. So they're betting on that and they're going there. So Percy talks to Grover when they're on the trailer. That is why you'll be the one that finds Pan. So Grover is destined to find Satan. God help us all. Yeah. Grover is going to find Satan. We must stop Grover. But guess what? Satan, Pan, dies as soon as they find him. So Jesus Christ worked his miracle again. I'm going to show you in the Battle of Labyrinth how Jesus works. They're about to find Satan and then he dies in front of them. Hallelujah. The Lord's hands is working, even in the Percy Jackson series, which is fictional. Alright, that is so cool. Now page 251. Alright, so I'm going to read for page 250. Now Annabeth is talking to Percy about her life and how it's a bit messed up. Demigods' lives are not easy. It's only easy if you have Jesus Christ and you're able to stop these monsters from annoying you, Annabeth. So I'm going to read here. That doesn't sound so bad. Yeah, well, the problem was, I believed him. I tried to go home from that school year, but my stepmom was the same as ever. She didn't want her kids put in danger by living with a freak. Monsters attacked, we argued. Monsters attacked, we argued. I didn't even make it through the winter break. I called Carl and came back right to Camp Half-Blood. This is interesting. The monsters kept on coming every time. It's because of opening doors and the negative energy that that these monsters manifest. The last days, the war is spiritual in the last days. Or the area that Annabeth lives in, this is just a theory, could be cursed by someone or something. But Annabeth probably is the curse because she is a Nephilim never meant to exist. She is an abomination towards the Lord. So maybe that's why the reason these demons are manifesting around her home. And a lot of people have reports of demons just walking in front of their backyards, like Bigfoots walking in front of their backyard. It's really weird, but I guess that's another thing that happens in Percy Jackson too, so weird. Alright, so next page 252 and 253. Alright, we've got an interesting one here, a really long one, so it might be a little bit. So Percy is dreaming on the track. Let's just went to sleep. So Percy's dreaming and he's in his classroom and he's doing an exam. Then the dream strayed from the usual. I looked over at the next desk and saw a girl sitting there, also wearing a straitjacket. She was my age, with unruly black, punk-style hair, dark eyeliner around her stormy green eyes, and freckles across her nose. Somehow I knew who she was. She was Talia, daughter of Zeus. Talia, the daughter of Zeus. She's another Nephilim. But wait, I thought Talia had blue eyes. Here's a plot hole, but I'm going to fill this plot hole up in Era of 303, so spoiler alert, guys. Click out if you don't want to know what happens in Era of 303. So one of Talia's powers is super speed, like the Flash. Her eyes turn from blue to green, so her green eyes signifies she just came back from a long run, I guess. But this is the next page. So the next one, we will have an interesting one here. So Percy's dream changes. The straitjacket melted off me. I fell through the classroom floor. The teacher's voice changed until it was cold and evil, echoing from the depths of a great chasm. Percy Jackson, it said. Yes, the exchange went well, I see. It was black in the dark cavern, spirits of the dead drifting around me. Unseen in the pit of the monstrous thing was speaking, but this time it wasn't addressing me. The numbing power of its voice seemed direct towards someone else. And he suspects nothing. Another voice. One I almost recognized answered at my shoulder. Nothing, my lord. He is as ignorant as the rest. Oh, listen to that. He is as ignorant as the rest. Ignorant to the secret knowledge and the only true way to kill Satan, which is Jesus Christ. So, what is meant here, this person, I'm not going to spoil it, this person talking to Kronos is his servant, so he's a Chronite that's talking to Kronos. And what he means is ignorant of, well, obviously he's working for Kronos, and about the secret knowledge and the way how they communicate and creating a new world order to destroy the world, and how they make us live in a fantasy, but really we're not, and we're in the Matrix. That's what we're ignorant of. These people, really sick, these Chronites and Satanists. So next, I looked over, but no one was there. The speaker was invisible. Deception upon deception. The thing in the pit mused aloud. Excellent. Ooh. This is an interesting one. The Chronites are all individuals who work for Kronos and the Titans. So, yeah, I mentioned that just early on, where the deceptions are tricking us, getting us to believe the lies, and damning us into hell. Those are the deceptions upon deception. There's so many deceptions. The end times, there's so many. The great delusion, the Bible speaks of it. Kronos speaks of it himself, because Kronos knows this. He knows what's going to happen. This guy knows. See how Rick Riordan's showing this? This subliminal messaging. You can see how subtle it is, and there it is in front of your face. Double meanings. Truly, my lord, said the voice next to me. You are well named, the crooked one. But was it really necessary? Could I have brought you what I stole directly? You, said the monster in scorn. You have already shown your limits. You would have failed me completely if I had not intervened. Ooh. The crooked one is another name for Kronos. The crook, get this, why is he called the crook one? Well, the crook is an item of a shepherd. Ooh, this is where it gets really interesting now. Jesus is the true shepherd, but Chronos, Satan, is the false one. Let's read Zechariah 11:16, verse 17, and Revelation 13. Alright, so I'm going to read Zechariah 11, verse 16 through 17. For lo, I will raise up a shepherd in the land, which shall not visit those that be cut off, neither shall seek the young one, nor heal that is broken, nor feed that standeth still, but he shall eat the flesh of the fat, and tear their claws in pieces. Woe to the idle shepherd that leaveth the flock! The sword shall be upon his arm, and upon his right eye, and his arm shall be clean dried up, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened. Alright, so I'm going to use some key words here. So this is talking about a shepherd in the land. He shall not visit those that are cut off from the matrix. So this shepherd shall not interfere with those who are cut off from reality and cut off from the matrix. So Christians who are awake and people who are awake. So that's a good sign, I guess. It seems to be like that. Neither shall he seek the young one, nor hear that is broken. And so woe to the idle shepherd. This idle shepherd is the crooked one, Chronos, the Antichrist, Nimrod. Because remember, Chronos was the first Nimrod in history. Nimrod, after the flood, just reinvented what Chronos already started. But Nimrod just got more credit for it. That's just what happened. So he left the flock to do without will, to let the flock run around crazy. It's a really bad shepherd. So this is a bad guy. The sword shall be upon his arm. So he has a sword in his hand, or he could be stabbed by a sword, probably. And upon his right eye. So his right eye is the lost eye. Nimrod also lost his eye, and the all-seeing eye. That's where you get the symbol, the triangle, the all-seeing eye, the Illuminati symbol. That's where we get that from. So the Bible speaks of it. The right eye, his arm shall be clean dried up. So his right arm has to be a little bit, dodgy. I mean, there's some Antichrist figures who had dodgy arms. Adolf Hitler had a dodgy arm. Apparently, he had a disease, and his arm had to did these weird movements. I mean, that's weird. I mean, no coincidences. I mean, wonder why people thought it was the Antichrist. He also worshipped Satan as well. So, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened, so he will lose his right eye. That's the mortal head wound that the Antichrist has. So, interesting how the shepherd, the false idol shepherd, is related to the Antichrist. And Chronos, the Titan Nephilim king, the original Nimrod, had a crook, and he's known as the crooked one. And the crook is a name of a shepherd's, which the shepherd carries. Alright, so Revelation 13 talks about the beast. So it talks about the beast, and you know how I stood upon the sand and the sea, and I saw a beast rise out of the sea. So there's another connection to the sea, and it has a lot of symbolism here with the leopard. There's a lot of leopard symbolism. The blasphemy of the whore Babylon. And now let's read here. And he causeth all men, both great and small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads. So this is obviously talking about the mark of the beast, the microchip. They're already giving it out now. So do not get a microchip, even if they say, "Oh, we're not putting it on your left hand. We're just gonna put it in your right hand," because crazy Christians think it's the mark of the beast. So don't worry, it's gonna help you. I mean, if your child gets lost, well, we can track him down because we got the microchip. Don't believe these guys. These guys are crazy. They want to get you into hell. If you get the microchip, you cannot get salvation. That's the only thing you can't. But if someone puts the microchip in you and you've already said no and you don't want to, that means you don't. That means you can still go to heaven. So it's on your. It's what you think is right. And if you choose to do it, that means you'll go to hell. So that's what it means. And that no man shall buy or sell at save the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him have understanding, count the number of the beast, and it's the number of man, 666. So that's the Antichrist, and that's what's going to happen. It's already happening now, guys. So that's a little bit of discernment, and it connects a lot to Chronos. The Chronos, who was the first Antichrist figure, the Nimrod character. So I got a bit more to read here, so bear with me. You, the monster said in scorn, you have already shown your limits. You would have failed me completely had I not intervened. But, my lord, peace, little servant. Our 6 months have brought us much. Zeus's anger has grown. Poseidon has played his most desperate card. Now we shall use it against him. Shortly you shall have your reward, you wish, and your revenge, as soon as both items are delivered into my hands. But wait, he's here. Although let's talk about this. Shortly you shall have your reward that you wish. One of these great rewards is the return of the cult of the Chronides before the flood, and it's the false. This is how they use this for deception. They say you need to do this, or else I'll give you a reward. It's sort of like flattery. He says, "Oh, you need to do this, or else I'll give you riches." It's almost like it's really deceptive, and it's like his words are like honey. And this is how Satan is able to appear as an angel of light, and that's how he beguiled Eve, and that's how sin entered the world. Classic example, we see it again and again. Satan is trying all he can. He's using his same techniques. He's using subtlety, flattery, and he's been a trickster, and we can see it all throughout Rick Riordan's books. Alright, that's that page. The next one is on page 250. 7. Okay. Now, they have made it to Los Angeles. I think, yeah, they just made it. And they're walking in the streets. So now something interesting I'm just going to read here. We stumbled out into the desert afternoon. It was 40 degrees, easy. And we must have looked like dried, deep-fried virgins. But everyone was too interested in the wild animals to pay much else attention. We passed the Monte Carlo and the MGM. We passed pyramids of Egypt, the small versions, a pirate ship, and the Statue of Liberty, which was a pretty small replica, but still made me homesick. They used Statue of Liberty to make it look comforting to people, and make it for Percy Jackson to feel nostalgia and sort of comfort for this statue, which is a really satanic statue. The Statue of Liberty is the Lady Semiramis, Ishtar, Aphrodite, and Isis. I mean, I've pretty much already covered a little bit of that, but I don't have time to go through all of it. I really recommend you check out, again, Biblepaedia, Nimrod Part 16, the Statue of Liberty, and the Freemasons. I highly recommend you read this. If you want to learn more about the Statue of Liberty and why it is satanic, you have to read this. You shall read it to learn more about the truth and to understand how it's meant to signify America as being so-called in liberty, but we're not in liberty, we're slaves. So it's a pretty meaningless statue unless it pays homage to sun worship, Semiramis, Nimrod, the Antichrist, whore of Babylon. So really that's all it represents. It's the statue of Satan, Semiramis, not liberty. We're not in liberty, we're in liberty in Christ. So on page 258 is the next one we're going to go. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 here because the first one's really short. So they're just passing to the Lotus Hotel. We must have taken a wrong turn because we found ourselves at a dead end standing in front of the Lotus Hotel and Casino. The entrance was a huge neon flower, the petals lighting up and blinking. The flower in the shape of a star. The flower represents star worship. I'll cover this later on in this book. I'll talk about how the flower, lotus flower, roses represents Freemasonry. I'll talk about that later on. It represents star worship, the pentagram, which is witchcraft, and also the law of reversal, invented by Aleister Crowley. They flip things over and completely everything is all flipped and changed. That's what it means. So that's pretty much it for that part. So the next part I'll go on is an interesting one. So this is what they go into the Lotus Hotel, Percy, Annabeth and Grover, and it looks really nice. Decide to stay there for the night. So they go and play some games with some cashless society. This cashless society, there's no money. They just go in and do whatever they want. So that's pretty much another another sign for how a society is becoming cashless. Do without will. Oh yeah, just have a card here and do whatever you want. You just swipe it and there you go. That's another example of cashless society, part of the New World Order agenda, mark of the beast. So let's read this part. Percy meets a guy, and he noticed something really suspicious. I said, "Hey, Darren." "What? What year is it?" He frowned at me. "In the game?" "No, in real life." He had to think about it. 1977. "No," I said, getting a little bit scared. "Really?" "Hey man, bad vibes. I got a good game happening." After that, he totally ignored me. I started talking to people and found out it wasn't easy. They were glued to the TV screen like zombies on video games, on their food or whatever. I found a guy who told me it was 1985. Another guy told me it's 1993. They all claim they haven't been here very long. A few days, a few weeks at most. They didn't really know, and they didn't care at all. And then it occurred to me how long I have been here. It seemed like only a couple of hours, but was it? I try to remember why we were here. We were going on to Los Angeles. We were supposed to find the entrance to the underworld. My mother. For a scary second, I had trouble remembering her name. Sally Jackson. I had to find her. I had to stop Hades from causing World War III. Oh, they come out of the Lotus Hotel, they rush out, and they find out they've only got 1 day left. So they've stayed there for like 2 or 3 days, and when it felt like hours, a few hours. So that's interesting. You notice all these people are stuck on their TV screens and they realize the time has passed. Well, this is really familiar. It's like MK Ultra mind control. The mind control is what the Illuminati uses, and it's so simple. Mind control's everywhere. I mean, in Satanism, they use the mind control for trauma-based mind control. They get these children to they get them into pain and force them to do things the hard way, so they get conditioned and their brain completely is mushed up after that trauma, and they don't know what to do but to follow what the Satanists say, and what they say is always bad. This mind control is used every day. For people who watch TV, they listen to what they say and they understand it. And for example, it's hard to define mind control really. It's pretty much the control of decisions. The decisions you make about things every day in your life is always influenced by something. So for example, if you're watching a movie, for example Rocky, and you watch it and you become so obsessed with it, and you say, "Oh, I'm gonna become I want to become a boxer because I watched Rocky." That's mind control. I mean, there's no reasoning behind it. You just watched a movie and then your weak mind just decided to do it. That's mind control. And it's gone so far to the point people have gone insane. Like, for example, people have married inanimate objects and people have wanted to live life as a goat. I mean, that's how bad the mind control is. And I can probably go into a little bit later on, maybe. Probably a Magnus Chase. I'm not sure, but that's a definition for mind control. I urge you to look at videos for like a Call For An Uprising, mainly a Call For An Uprising, and his channels like Call For An Uprising 2 and Fire Rising. I'll leave both of the description in the description box below, so I really want you to check these out. So these mind control could be used games, movies, media, allowing the control of the masses' attention so they can see the lies and make them believe the lies, the mind control. That's how they make people believe the lies. Satan used mind control in the Garden of Eden. That's where it all started. So, okay. Let's read to page 271. And, yeah, let's go to that. Alright, let's read this. Actually, I probably won't because I haven't really highlighted anything. I've only got a note. So, I'll tell you what happens. So, Percy and Annabeth and Grover have made it to Santa Monica. So, yeah, Santa Monica on the beach. And Percy just walks into the water until it gets really deep. And then he meets the sea spirit again. And this sea spirit that we saw early on, it's a Nereid, is a spirit of the sea and a servant of Poseidon. Again, it's a satanic spirit. All female spirits are satanic. So they're the spirits of the deep, and they are demons. God created angels, spirits. Some fell with Lucifer to earth. So the beast, Nimrod, comes from the ocean, Percy's home turf. Semiramis, like I mentioned, is also a water Nereid or nymph as well. And she is pretty much speaking to Percy. So Percy is speaking to Semiramis. Semiramis is also a water spirit. So interesting. Alright, so now I've got a video here for you guys to watch. It's by this YouTube channel called Gtasoul. Link in description below to check out his videos. He is awesome. He's got a lot of good stuff. And he's really good because I've learned a lot of Hinduism from him and the true meaning behind it, which has really helped Era 303. And God bless that guy. He's great. So also, guys, we're going to be watching a crash course on God, devils, and angels. It's a short video, and it's got a lot of information and explains why Semiramis is the water nymph and the demons come from the ocean and about Poseidon and all that. So I hope you enjoy this.
After the great flood of Noah, when civilization re-emerged from the chaos, one of the Noah's great grandsons named Nimrod established the cities of Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calne in ancient Sumer, which is today's Iraq. His father's name was Cush, whose clan the Hindu gods Rama and Krishna belonged to. Later in his life, Nimrod married a water nymph named Semiramis. Now, we have to bear in mind that these water nymphs are not what they appear to be. They are fallen entities from the watery abyss of Lucifer's kingdom. Hindus know this place as Patal-lok. These entities are not human, and they don't act in the best interest of humans. God created angels. Some of them became demons because of their rebellion against God. They were exiled to the earth from heaven, and they are in the oceans now. Yes, it is biblical. The book of Revelation says that the following about this incident.
And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. That old serpent called the devil and Satan. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
Even before the creation of humans on the earth, God had to deal with an entity named Rahab that stood up against him in the waters. Do you know that the fall of the ancient Israelites was caused by one such aquatic spirit named Ashtoreth? Well, most of you know her as Aphrodite. The Indians call her Kali. By the way, the ancient Israel's arch enemies, the Philistines, were also worshipping an entity from the ocean named Dagon. Prophet Samuel exhorted the Israelites to keep away from Ashtoreth, the goddess. And later we see that King Solomon also started worshipping Ashtoreth. Now, take a look at the book of Revelation, which deals with the end of the world scenario. Why do you think the angels attack the creatures in the sea? And again, if you notice, most of the original pagan gods were also from the oceans because that's where the devil and his demons operate from. The demons know from God's own prophecies that their time is short and they are soon to be thrown into hell. So they corrupt and mislead humans to follow them in order to take as many as they can to hell along with them. They also manipulate humans to provide with their much needed blood through sacrifices, accidents, wars, and even suicide bombers in order to survive in their state of curse. However, having been in heaven before their fall, they have tremendous knowledge as well as technology in their hands. Governments line up for that knowledge behind the doors in order to dominate each other in the world. To their followers, these entities appear like patrons of art and culture, teachers of languages, music, medicine, yoga, etc. in order to attract them. This is one of the reasons for rejecting the notion that Allah is Yahweh, because He gave Arabic language to humans when Yahweh confused the languages. Well, in the light of all that I have said, please stay on God's side. Let God send Jesus into your life, and I promise you, your life will be different. You won't be a loser because you are not ignorant anymore. Thanks for watching.